Hello. I want to talk about how I think this whole system started for me and how I think it probably starts for a lot of other people too. It started off after I'd seen the mental health for a complete different reason to the whole being targeted system or anything like that. It was basically like a mental health visit because I wasn't feeling too good about things. After that, I went and saw a mental health team, and they put me on to see a psychiatrist. After seeing the psychiatrist, the lady asked me a question, and she says, "Do you hear voices?" I said no, and after that she said, I said, "I hear my own voice," just sort of describing how one thinks, how a human being thinks. You know how you can hear your voice as you're thinking. But after seeing her, I got a letter a few weeks later saying suspected schizophrenia because he's displaying signs of hearing his own voice in his head. And I think it said it in them words. I'll try and find a bit of paper. Anyway, it was around that time, well, it was straight after first seeing the mental health team, that this strange stuff started happening. And I believe it's to do with the whole mental health system are involved without most of their knowledge. But the psychiatric system, the pharmaceutical industry, must be putting lots of money in to keep this happening and making lots of money from this happening. If someone is displaying signs, or if they can prove that someone's a schizophrenic, even if they show no signs of schizophrenia, by doing strange things in the streets and street theatre and stuff like that, they can get you on antipsychotics or whatever they want to put you on, or they can get you sectioned if you freak out in public, especially when these things happen to you. There's a likelihood someone's going to freak out at some point, so they can get you in hospital. Give you a diagnosis of schizophrenia, which they seem to be over-diagnosing for everyone. Mum used to work in a mental health facility like a halfway house, and she knew that half the people in there that were diagnosed with schizophrenia weren't schizophrenic at all. They had other disorders, but they'd all been put into the box of schizophrenia. Well, I think it's all a money-making scheme. It's all one massive scam to either get you hospitalised or get you on to antipsychotics. And this is why I think there's probably a lot of Christians that say it's happening to them, because they probably don't agree with the drug treatments and stuff like that. So it will happen to them over and over because they'd refuse any sort of treatment like that, to sort of push them into mental health care. Yet at the same time, on the other side of it, I think the mental health are thinking, oh, we're doing this to get them some help by getting them put in a hospital, and it'll be for other people's safety too. So the people are tricked when the start of it, there's nothing wrong with you, basically. They make something wrong with you. And only because of that thing happening to me the other week, and my mum sort of saying, yeah, well, that is strange. She said, and a comment from one of my subscribers said, "Are you sure this wasn't trying to get you to flip out so you'd go off and have a drink and stuff?" And it's funny because I was told yesterday that if I had a drink, I'd be sectioned immediately. because I'm unstable on drink. Now, it could well have been done so they could do it in a controlled type environment, or flip me out so I can be sectioned and then they can have full control of me. I've been given all these, I've been given this DVD and some other documents to tell me about clozaril, or clozapine is the other name for it, I think. And the title on the DVD, looks all fabulous and all that. It says, "Your Journey into Light." And I'm thinking, this is propaganda to the max. It's ridiculous. But that's what my psychiatrist wants me on. And my mental health worker says he wants you on medication. He wants you on medication. And I'm like, are you going to give it a bit more of a think then? And I'm like, well, what do you think? You don't think I'm mad, do you? And so forth. And she said, no, not for now, or something like that. And I don't know. But I reckon mental health workers and other people involved learn sort of psychiatric tricks or psychological tricks to they sort of learn what people's triggers can be. So once you're within that part of the system, you get it quite bad. And I do think they're keeping a good eye on me. I know my mental health worker lady, she watches my videos and that. I know she watches them quite a lot because I put up a playlist the other day and I'd titled it Mega Phill, and we were talking about my neutrophils being low, which is something in your blood being low, and I can't have clozaril if my neutrophils are low anyway. So if I have another blood test and that says my neutrophils are low, that's fine, I can't have it. But I said, it's got my name in it, Phill. And she went, yeah, don't make me think of your name. And then she went, Mega Phill, like out of the blue. And I thought, I've just named my videos Mega Phill, so you are definitely watching. Which I'm very chuffed to see that someone's watching my videos that's so close to home, other than my mum or other family members. So in a way that's good, but at the same time I've got to be careful I don't say anything that makes me seem completely crazy. But looking back at all my other videos, if you are not a targeted individual, or you ain't had the stuff happen to you, you are going to think I'm crazy through looking through the videos. But I think a lot of the things I talk about are logical, and there is scientific backing behind most of it, including people being microwaved or whatever. I mean, since the 50s. But anytime I say something like that, things seem to be discounted. They'll ignore that and move on. And it's like these people have been programmed to ignore what you're saying, and to look it up and find out for themselves. Oh, hold on, if they were doing this back then, could they be doing this now on a massive scale? And with our extra street theatre and stuff involved, maybe we are a part of it too. But people don't seem to connect the dots together with that. So it's a tricky one. But that's what I think they do. They especially if they know they can get you within the system by doing a suspicion of schizophrenia thing when I had no symptoms whatsoever. The claims were falsified, basically. And then to prove it, they're going to have to make you look mad, or they're going to have to make you come across mad to people you know and to people around you. So when you do get sectioned, or when you do get forced onto some super potent form of antipsychotic, the people around you will think you need it. But fortunately for me, there's been people that have spotted, people that I know, that have spotted these things have been deliberate, because some of them have been shoddily done. Now, I just think the only sort of explanation for it, with the mental health system being completely involved with it, is that antipsychotics and all that have a lot of money from the guys up there, or wherever they are, backing them to make people psychotic. It's a big industry, think about it. The more people you make psychotic, the more money you can get for tablets. And the more people that are psychotic, the more money these companies can demand from the NHS or from your insurance company and so on. So it's a vicious circle money making, because someone has to pay it, even if it's not you, your insurance company or the NHS. But I think that's why it's done. I mean, I've seen so many people being involved. It's ridiculous, the amount of people that get dragged into it and they don't have a clue what they're involved with, the downfall of society, of the whole of society. I think this is why there's wars, because of this system. I don't think there'd have been as many wars if the way this system was designed wasn't in place like that. And it seems like as soon as I start speaking out and telling my story and saying what I think about these atrocities, that's when I'm sort of, you need to go to hospital, or we want you to go to hospital. Have a good think about it. You've got till Monday. Yeah, and I'm wondering if they don't put certain people on a list, even if you've not done previous drug use or anything like that, if you're just a normal person and they think that they could put you under the list of schizophrenic or paranoid delusional or any of the other mental disorders, that they'll stick you on a list, and then they will use the street theatre and so forth. It sounds, you see, if someone else is listening into this, they're not going to understand it very well if they're not targeted. But basically, this doesn't take manpower. If you're put on a list from a well-funded scheme that makes its money back tenfold, you'd be able to understand how it works. And all sectors of society are involved in it, because there's got to be lots of money backing. But then they're going to make lots of money from getting us all on antipsychos, all of us, or whatever drug they want to put you on. I mean, neighbourhood watch type schemes. I've met criminals that are involved with it, with the downfall of me. I've seen others I've suspected that are in this same programme where I live. I've seen one other that I think for definite, and a couple of others that could well be. It's quite hard to explain how I think that is the case, but that's what I believe. I believe it's going on such a big scale, but a lot of the people just go, okay, yeah, I'm schizophrenic, am I? I'll take them antipsychotics and I'll get better. And these people do get better while they're on the antipsychotics. But what if the only reason for that is because the organised theatrics stop? They know you're on the antipsychotics and they stop. Because things were going a lot better for me when they thought I was still taking my olanzapine. I didn't have anything happen. Nothing bad. No people in the streets. Nothing like that. It was all very cosy for me. Like, there was nothing wrong. But I wasn't taking the antipsychotics. I just said I was. And then as soon as I say I'm not, the next day or so I get told about that blood test, and then the organised theatrics start again. In a very unnerving fashion, like it was rushed to get it back going again. And it makes me wonder if this whole ball game isn't corrupt, isn't just ridiculously corrupt, and we are just the players in it that are getting fucked over. We've been put on a list, and they can use any excuse on that list, so a dangerous person or anything like that. There's a sex offender, and that could be why you get the looks from people and all the other stuff. Like, you'll be walking down the street and someone will give you a right disgusted look, and you think, well, what the fuck is that for? And it's not, and you find out it's not your head telling you that, because you're smiling and you're walking past jolly. A lot of the time I'll say hello to people and they will just ignore me, like not look away though, just sort of stare forward. And when that happens, these are the ones I think are actually involved and think they've got to be part of this watch group to keep an eye on me, if you know what I mean. They don't answer you, a lot of them. So if I say hello to people and they're like, hey, yeah, and hello back or whatever, it feels better. It's nice when you get a hello back sometimes. But maybe that's just the world we're living in now. I don't know. But no, that's what I think happens. I'll reiterate over what I've said. They give you some form of assessment, not necessarily in your face, not necessarily in front of you. Then you get put on a list. Right, this guy can be made schizophrenic if we go on that way. Right, now we can medicate him. This is why I think people that are highly religious probably are continuously being stalked, because they refuse any sort of medication, because they know what they're seeing is not schizophrenia or another problem. Obviously it's going to send you a bit mad over time, but if you can keep your logical head on you and see how it actually works and see how they're doing these things, it's probably much better for you than to be injected with Clozaril. Plus, you're not injecting yourself, some stranger's doing it. So, and you've got to have blood tests every 2 weeks. A blood test every 2 weeks. So you're having your blood stolen from you all the time. So basically, if you haven't been a threat to anyone, you haven't done anything wrong, I think you're fine. Unfortunately, because I've done a very violent crime in the past, they could use that against me if they really wanted, I think. Because they could say, oh, he's likely to become violent like that again. Well, especially if I have a drink, because it was under the influence of alcohol. So, yeah, they can use that stuff as an excuse. But if you don't drink and you don't go to drink or drugs, you'll probably be fine with it. You've just got to find a method of holding your chest in and sort of coping with it, breathing properly and stuff like that. You should be A-okay. And I know, I'm not saying there isn't people that are natural, that become schizophrenic through other traumas and life events and so forth. But I'm just saying this is deliberate in my case. And I reckon it's the same with other targeted individuals. The pharmaceutical companies are going to be making billions, if you think about it. Extra couple of billion a year, or however much, because I reckon there's millions of people all over the world getting this. Millions. I mean, they say there's 250,000 people on different stages of the Tempura project in England. So, all on different sort of stages. It'd be interesting to know if any of these people or all of these people are diagnosed with a mental health issue. Don't you think? Right, I'll leave it there. I'll show you my tiger I drew. Can you see it? Yeah, there we go. It's my tiger. There you go. It's some of my crazy paintings that I haven't finished. Some of my crazy work. And I've got these up here. This is my type of stuff I like to do. They were done in prison. Then we got skulls, all different types. Yep. A wall back.